Welcome to Bleach Revisited. I am Karker Gold, your host of this series in which we will be reading every single chapter of the Bleach manga, providing critical analysis of the art and the narrative, as well as personal response to each of these chapters. We'll also be talking about how the chapter connects to the rest of the series via foreshadowing and spoilers. As usual, we begin these videos with a reading of the chapter that we are currently on. This is Chapter 90, See You Under the Fireworks. Darn! How long is he going to run away? According to Ikaku, the dude who went after GANJU is the 5th seat in the 11th company. I'd better help GANJU, he probably can't handle him on his own. Ha ha! That guy, already a vague memory. The 5th seat is the 5th strongest, including the captain. Where is he? Ah, darn it! This is starting to make me mad. Hey! Where are you, GANJU? Shoot off a rocket or something if you can hear me, you jerk! There he is! The orange-haired Soul Reaper! Kill him! For the glory of Captain Saraki! Capture him or die trying! Ah, crap! I forgot I was being chased too. That was dumb. Darn it! Where do you go, GANJU? Scream your head off! You won't escape me! Bleach, Chapter 90. See You Under the Fireworks. GANJU, hey! Stop, you stupid Ryoka! How do you feel? You must be exhausted by now. But you did manage to run away from me for a long time. You did well in your own unsightly way. I should probably praise you. You're one annoying dude. Annoying? That's not my fault. It's natural for the unsightly to envy the beautiful. By the way, is that your friend I hear screaming, "Hey, GANJU!" Whoa! He's calling your name. Your friend is no less unsightly than you are. GANJU, you jerk! He seems to be looking for you, but he's only attracting other Soul Reapers. Maybe you're a little slow. Maybe you're the slow one. If Ichigo's here, then he must have killed your bald friend. That's impossible. 11th Company is the ultimate combat unit, the best of all 13 court guard companies. And Ikaku is our 3rd seat. He wouldn't lose to... Ah! Fool! Your only skill seems to be running away. Shiva style. Battle level shooting flower. Senbin Banka. 10,000 spinning flowers. Don't underestimate me. That's no move. It's a childish trick. Don't you ever learn? Are fleeing and scratching the ground like a chicken the extent of your abilities? My guess is you intend to use one of your peculiar spells to cause the ground to crumble, killing both of us. Sacrifice myself to kill you? What a waste. Enough! You have remarkable strength. After running all this time and meeting my attacks, you can still move this well. Your stamina is truly amazing. A little more. Just a little more. He still underestimates me. For this to work, I have to catch him with his guard down. Truly unfortunate. Had you been born beautiful, you might have been one of my favorites. What? I can't evade it. Your will to live is inspiring. But what good can come of an unsightly thing, an unsightly life? If you were born unsightly, you can at least die beautifully. I don't think so. You and I have different concepts of beauty. What? I thought that it's better to survive, unsightly or not. Huh? You dog! How dare you put your unsightly hand on my head? Sorry, pretty boy, it's over. Shiba style, rock wave, secret move. Renkan Seppa Sin, Link rock wave fan. No! You thought that would end it. Don't make me laugh. Where'd he go? I'll show him that I'm... Hey! Over here! Alley. Oop! Huh? Ah! Ah, he's over there. You should have launched it sooner, dork. Idiot. Ah, Yamachika lost. And that is it for chapter 90 of the Bleach manga. This chapter was, oh boy, see you under the fireworks? See you under the fireworks. And so, let's get into talking about the chapter. Let's get into discussing the art and the narrative, kind of what's going on in this chapter, giving a little bit of a keener eye towards how the elements are working together. So I really love, again, and this is common manga stuff, but this right to left movement, because we read the page in that way, it's always smart. You always want to pay attention to the movement of the page, like on the page. It's something that's so sensible and normal, but once you start to pay attention to that, it becomes really easy to sort of recognize how often an author, a mangaka, is trying to build that sort of natural momentum for right to left movement, for movement that's natural, and then left to right movement for movement that opposes our characters or that's unnatural, right? The other thing is I did make a video discussing the sound effects, but one thing I did want to mention is that typically nowadays sound effects, at least in Viz manga, which this is a Viz translation, don't get changed. Like the actual effect on the visual of the effect doesn't get changed, and they'll just provide a SFX translation. That's obviously not the case for Bleach as of this point in the translation. But I wanted to say that at the very least the stylization tries to mimic the same sort of stylization that the Japanese characters have. So you have these very long strokes for the dum 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 of Ichigo running. But it's not exactly the same. Still, I do recommend that you go and you look at a little bit of the actual Japanese, and you look at how it's stylized, especially for a lot of these early chapters, just to get a sense of the visuals. And if you have a specific fight or chapter that you like, I do recommend checking that out. But I wanted to bring it up because I did want to mention that it still does try at least to mirror the aesthetic quality of the original. So it's not like it's completely wrong or something. Anyway, I love that this came up before. Kumo seems to really like this joke of drawing a character poorly for having poor memory of them. This came up with Chad before, whenever he was trying to remember what Ichigo's sister looked like or trying to think of it, right? But Ichigo also has this kind of dunce memory of people. The only things that matter to Ichigo are things that are immediately important to him, or things that he has a strong connection to. So Yumachika certainly isn't one of those. And we also get, of course, that Yumachika is the 5th seat of the 11th company. So there is a 4th seat between him and Ikaku, assumably. And then, we already know that Yachiru is the vice captain, and Saraki Kenpachi is the leader of the 11th company, right? So I like that we get this movement that we kind of scope around on the side of Ichigo. We get to his back, we get that suck in, and then he yells. And I love that he this is such a good comedic moment for me, is that he's calling out, and then we just have these guys smoking and playing cards in the alley. And I do love, these are some of my favorite looking Soul Reapers, probably in the entirety of the series. I love the expression on this dip, but just all the way that they look. And then of course Ichigo not having the kind of dumb moment of he's just, again, what matters to Ichigo is what he's immediately kind of caught up in, what he's experiencing at the time. This is something that can be a flaw of his, but also can be a strength of his, right? That he has this kind of intensity, but only for really what he's focused on. So there's a short-sightedness there too, even if he does deal with what's right in front of him. And so, of course, that short-sightedness here, he doesn't realize, though, he's just drawing more attention to himself. Luckily, it's, these nameless shitty Gami that just he gets deals with them by the end of the chapter. But yeah, I do love that as a comedic kind of beat, and we do have the like the of running throughout the entire thing as we finally get to the cover, and then we get back to Ganju. I do like this cover. Ganju usually isn't depicted so coolly, you know. Um, to the R1, I have no idea. Could be just like some English, I think. Um, of course, we get this long kind of panel setting. We know that Yumachika's got Ganju cornered. And here we get a lot of Yumachika gloating, right? As he's used his Shikai, it doesn't seem to have any sort of special ability other than the fact that it is several blades. And maybe that speaks towards Yumachika himself, that there's this sort of ostentatious nature to him, right? That might not exactly be practical or really useful. If you think about, especially comparing to Kaku, whose Shikai served like a very martial form and function. Ikaku much has this very effective Shikai release, whereas Yumachika's doesn't seem to really make his sword do anything that his sword didn't already do. you know, it just seems like looking a certain way just to look that way. Again, it mirrors his sort of peacock nature. Now, if it does have some sort of ability that we haven't been told, we haven't been told that. But as far as we can tell, as at this point, it seems to kind of be perhaps the biggest letdown of all of the ones that we've seen. Who knows? But like Ichigo's, even though he can fire like this big energy wave and it's much more powerful, those are things that are kind of shown to us. We haven't seen anything. Perhaps it gives him Ikaku or not Ikaku, Yumachika a speed boost or something, but that doesn't seem to be a factor of his sword, and it doesn't seem like it's particularly effective at cutting someone down, as of course we see here that he's having trouble, dispatching Ganju. So it's unclear if it's like Ganju is particularly resilient, or if Yumachika just, his sword isn't really giving him any benefit. Of course, I think Ganju gets a couple of good lines here, and I do like that there's that kind of mirrored. It's something that we see with Ichigo a lot, where Ichigo will throw like the insult of an antagonist back in their face. So we get a little bit of that played with here. That kind of like Ganju calls Yumachika annoying. Yumachika addresses being annoying. It's not exactly the same. Usually with Ichigo, it's like his opponent will gloat something, and then Ichigo will, best them and then throw that gloat back at them, right? Or something along those lines. But again, talking about Ganju is like parallel to Ichigo in a way. Yeah, it's interesting to kind of see that also there being like kind of a parallel here as well. And I do like this fight a lot, that Ganju kind of has to outsmart Yumachika, that he can't just beat him in an upright fight. He's got to do all this scurrying around, this very unsightly sort of thing, right? Whereas Yumachika is very straightforward and beautiful, right? He has this insistence on aesthetic, or like a way to be that is attractive, right? But yeah, again, he says maybe you're a little slow, and then again we have Ganju going, maybe you're the slow one, right? As he's pulling out the bomb from his bag there. I do love this. This line is really good. That Ichigo goes here, then he must have killed your friend, which is pretty savage of Ganju to say. And I love that you do get that startled expression from Yumachika. Like, even though these guys are in the same company, was ostensibly, there's a ton of people in your company. I mean, we even got the sense in other chapters that, like, there's just so many Soul Reapers that you might not even know another company's captain, or even other people in your company. So, I assume the higher ranking people are more familiar, of course. We did have Renji kind of having to ask questions a few chapters back, but you really get the sense that Yumachika and Ikaku actually are friends, and that like there is some sort of bond between them, especially for like how shocked Yumachika is at this news, right? Especially if we think about like the Soul Reapers that we've been presented, the Soul Reaper as like this kind of callous individual, uh, where they're militant, they're used to people dying, so on and so forth. Really kind of strange thing in this illustration. I don't know what's going on with his Shikai here, where like the blade's like way down here, but his hand ostensibly ends like right here. Yeah, it just is not perhaps drawn right. I don't know. But we also get the information, of course, the 11th is the ultimate combat unit. So ostensibly, all of the Gotei 13, the 13 court card companies, all of the Soul Society, the Soul Reapers, they ostensibly exist to go to war with the Hollows, to fight the Hollows, right? That it's this military society that is in opposition to the Hollows, and of course at one point Quincy, but as we know there are not really any more Quincy, but there's this sense of that, and so here we get that the 11th company is like they are the premier combat company, right? And so we get a little bit of that pride, almost that Shinigami pride, and I love that this is such a good kind of like quick. I love how the panels kind of break down, and then we have that quick blop into again this turn of page into action. I love the startled kind of expression Yumachika gives as he has these firecrackers thrown in his face. And again, cool use of Ganju's outfit. Yeah, you get a lot of different Shiva style techniques. So, assumably the Shiva family has been working in these sort of these firework oriented techniques at least for long enough for Ganju to get them worked into his repertoire. And I gotta figure that they've existed prior to Ganju. That it's not like Ganju that originated all of these. Though you do get the sense that Kukaku, she has made these certain techniques of her own. So I don't know. But it being Shiva style, like accredited to his family rather than just Ganju himself, it seems as though this is maybe something that the Shiva family is sort of been working on. I love that he has all these different kinds of bombs, and essentially these are all distractions for the actual technique that he's doing, right? Marking all these places to kind of collapse the area. We get a lot of really smug looks from Yumachika, which I do appreciate. And ultimately, I mean, the reason why Ganju wins this fight or are successful in this encounter is because Yumachika underestimates him. It's an interesting contrast to the previous fight that we had with Ichigo, where Ichigo, like Ikaku, like immediately upon realizing that Ichigo was trained by Urahara, like was like, okay, I have to take this fight seriously, otherwise this guy's going to kill me, right? And then even taking it seriously, he wasn't able to win. So we get the sense that I say that we get the sense we were explicitly told that Yumachika is looking down upon him. I mean, we get that in a few panels from now. So yeah, we'll see that he strikes here, and again, we get to see a few shots of this kind of strange Shikai that Yumachika has that doesn't really seem all that efficient. And yeah, I love that we finally get this internalization, and I think this is the really kind of cool turning point, because we've seen that Ganju's been trying stuff so far, but the fact that he's actually like put together a strategy, that he has this plan, and that here it's finally confirmed to us that he really needs to have the Shinigami underestimate him because he is fighting a stronger opponent. Which again relates to sort of the issue Ichigo had, where both of them were told like, "Hey, if you run into someone stronger, run away." But even with Ganju, we do have the difference of Ichigo stayed to fight, Ganju ran away. But now Ganju is in this encounter, and he's still got his opponent thinking that he's running, but running is a part of his strategy to fight. It's kind of neat. It's a neat difference between the two of them. Of course, anytime that Kubo wants to do something very dramatic, you could get the cut off kind of just the mouth and expression. Then we get this very serious expression from Yumachika, where we get the sense that Yumachika is finding things that he could have, maybe admired about Ganju in an opponent, but unfortunately, Ganju is such an unsightly roach of a man, and we get this kind of striking immediately like dash behind him. I do love this panel. Of course, Ganju realizes that he's going to get sliced, and he does. He does take the slash. And yeah, we have him, fall back to the pit. More gloating, of course. Yeah, it's strange because here, if you check eyeball Yumachika here, I do love that the slope of his outfit, like the little like thing that hangs from his turtleneck down, that bit of cloth runs down to his right arm kind of bracing and his blade. It gives a visual aesthetic to him that I do think is maybe understated but worth. Pretty cool. Anyway, yeah. Of course, Yumachika, with his very sort of vain and strange, and I say it's a Yumachika thing, but you got that sense of it before too. That Soul Reapers, that there's this sort of um, hierarchical sense to them. This sense that they are this greater form of life or something, that like they are greater than these other disgusting regular souls, right? That they look down upon humans, and really we get a little bit of that. We get a way that parses out here, that Yumachika sees them as unsightly, and then at least they can die beautifully, which is pretty morbid. Of course, I do like that Ganju gets that sort of survive at any cost, even if it's unsightly deal, and we get I think, which is a great moment of him throwing his hand on top of Yumachika's head to pull himself out of the pit. It's good kind of pay into the ultimate setup that he's had, where he has been setting up this larger strike to make it to where Yumachika couldn't escape. Of course, Yumachika jumps like 20 feet. Man, with a 20-foot vertical jump, be baller, shot caller. I do like that we do get this shot of him here. This is a really kind of cool one, and kind of illustrates a little bit of how his blade works. But that they kind of fold into a single blade, and then like kind of arc out to cleave at a person multiple times. And that's again something that's only kind of shown to us in a few panels, but it is usually, and I think the anime kind of gets this wrong, because I don't know that the anime ever has it fold back up like that. Because it feels like in the anime it's always sprawled out, whereas here we get in the manga that like it can be back into like the one blade, as we saw in this panel and the previous one. But I really like this panel because it does show it like layered up on top of itself. Yeah, Kujaku. I can't remember the whole name. It's something Kujaku, I believe, though. Anyway, of course, the bomb. I didn't mention the translation, extra large first star bomb, but I love that, of course, the anticipatory thing was that, yes, he would get him to a spot where he could not evade this massive bomb. And we get a pretty great sort of moment explosion, and then big firework. I do love the gag at the end of this, where it zooms out. We get Ichigo, and he's like, "Oh yeah, there he is," because he's expecting Ganju to like throw off a firework, right? So it's a good bit, and of course we have Ichigo. He's smoked and defeated all of these other chumps. And Ikaku like, "Oh well, Yumachika lost," which I love how chill Ikaku is about this. Assumably Yumachika is not dead, but especially with that kind of tone indicator at the end there. But I do love what a shitty way to die, or like maybe it's a beautiful way to die, fitting of a guy like him. Who knows? But it plays for like a pretty interesting fight. I remember not really liking this fight very much in the anime whenever I watched it. I think it works really well in the manga, but that's just because I think it's paced a little bit better. It doesn't feel as like kind of just padded out or long-winded. But I might need to go back and rewatch those episodes because that is one issue with like almost any of the encounters is that the anime just makes them feel absolutely tedious. But this is one that I think this works within like the chapter and a half that it basically happens. It's really efficient for a fight. Same thing with Hikaku's. And getting to experience all of that within just a few minutes time of reading, rather than having to sit there for over a half an hour. Makes sense. But yeah, all in all, solid chapter. I do like this encounter a lot. I think it shows a lot about not just Yumachika and Ganju. It's neat to finally get to see Ganju's like fighting prowess outside of like running into people, and we got a little bit of his ingenuity, and I like that paid off. That we got a little bit of Ganju fighting Ichigo, staying up close to kind of negate Ichigo's reach with his blade, using the sand to kind of force Ichigo into being disarmed, which again, disarming Ichigo is constant in this manga. But but like Ganju, despite being kind of portrayed as a little bit of a dumbass, uh, you get the sense that he has this real scrappy sort of fighting ingenuity to him, and I like that about him. I like that he's kind of really really capable of coming up with a bunch of different things in the middle of a fight. And again, I think that's meant to sort of mirror Ichigo. That Ichigo is also coming up with these different things in the middle of the fight, like tying Zangetsu to his hand, which kind of mirrors, if you think about it, whenever they fought the Demi Hollow with Dankanoji and Ichigo's hands got like stuck to his blade. Though he had other issues there, right, with it getting caught on the walls and everything too. So it's there's like a physicality to the combat that I think Kubo is really mindful of, and something that is worth kind of paying attention to. But yeah, I was saying not only do we learn more about Ganju and not Yumachika, I always get them mixed because they're like a pair to me, but Ganju and Yumachika, but we also get this better sense of maybe the Shiba family and Ganju's history, but also especially like Soul Society and Shinigami, and the way that Shinigami view the Ryoka gets really reinforced here, and we get a lot of that like kind of while Ikaku himself might be seen as maybe a little bit more, I don't know, noble or something. I mean, he's still very much a vicious murder man who wants to fight to the death, even though that's impractical. Yumachika really reflects the sort of worst sensibilities of some of the Soul Reapers that we've seen so far, right? But there's this sort of hubris to them, as well as the sense of superiority over others that's really kind of disgusting. So yeah, it's interesting that like such a this often gets done, right? The really pretty character who's obsessed with beauty, but is really kind of a disgusting person in a lot of ways. Nevertheless, good stuff. It's interesting to see him, of course, clash against Ganju, who's probably the most absurd and kind of rough and tumble of the characters that we've had so far. So I think they provide a good juxtaposition to each other. And they make for natural sort of antagonists to one another. So once again, kind of cool coupling of fights. And that's basically all I have to say about the chapter. I do like it. I do like this Ganju fight, and I'm surprised that it works as well as it does in the manga, because I usually remember the anime version of it, and I remember not really being a huge fan of it. But let's talk about spoilers. Let's talk about how this connects to the rest of the series. And there's not a lot that I really had to say. I mean, we get mention of Yumachika being the fifth seat, right? And as we come to learn later, he's only fifth seat because he likes the aesthetic of it. Which again, there's so much of like Yumachika taking on this form, or this, or like have like being obsessed with these sort of aesthetics and this presentation, even if it's not the truth of who he is. Like, truthfully, he could be higher ranked. Truthfully, he should probably be in a different division. Truthfully, his Shikai actually does something else. So like that's a kind of running theme for his character, is that there's this put on masquerade of aesthetic that belies, a different kind of person or power that's there. And so, that's whenever I see like the way that he looks, like that kind of dolling up of himself and all of that, that I read that also as being a part of a put on kind of look. The actual Yumachika is perhaps a more sinister fella than we often give credit to, because it's easy to be like, oh yeah, he's the pretty guy. Um, and we do get a little bit of that there. Sadly, this is like one of the last times that Ganju is going to do anything cool for like the entirety of the manga, which is a shame, because there's a lot of ingenuity here, and I really do like the kind of different things going on. Yeah, I don't know that there's really much else I want to speak towards, because I don't, Yumachika, he'd go on to have. I'm trying to think of the other fights that he has in the series, right? We really don't get another serious battle from him until the Karker arc, right? The whenever he goes to fight against Coolhorn, I believe, right? Charlotte, and that fight is pretty different from this one, right? In that fight, we have somebody that challenges him from the other aspect, so it's kind of neat to see Yumachika put up against these opponents that are like drastically different from his aesthetic, either in complete contrast or in hyperbolized form, perhaps. And then, yeah, later on, Yumachika would go on to fights. Uh, he encounters Giselle. Giselle, really. But of the Stern Ritter, right? And so I get, because I was thinking, like, does he ever fight Bambi? Because Bambietta, she has all the bombs, right? That would be a fitting sort of. Yumachika's dealt with bombs before, but no, it's Giselle with the zombie Yumachika, right? Yumachika, what am I saying? The zombie Bambi. Poof. Anyway, I don't know if she has zombie Bambi at that point yet either, but I know that he arrives to fight her during the encounter. I'm just trying to think of like parallels that he might have to those other encounters, and really this stands as difference, maybe as a good starting point for him. As I do like that we get to see Yumachika's taking his battles a little bit more seriously. Though I do wish that we had a little bit more development or a little bit more insight into his actual nature, his actual Shikai or Bankai even. But alas and alack. It's kind of interesting. The only other thing that I really will mention that's worthwhile here is that Yumachika speaks towards like being really surprised by his stamina, right? And that's kind of, at the very least, is striking to me, because Yumachika has this ability to drain another person's stamina, right? So Yumachika maybe is very conscientious of another person's stamina, and Reiatsu, really, their capability. Of course, him getting defeated by the firework is great stuff. This is foreshadowing towards Yumachika never catching a W. No, I mean, he wins against Coolhorn. Yeah. It's not all L's for him, though. He's pretty minor. I mean, even more so than Ikaku. So there's not a ton to talk about there. And then, furthermore, with Ganju, there's not a ton to talk about either. Because, as we know, Ganju doesn't really get a lot to do after this. I mean, we get his run up to encountering Rukia, but then he sort of gets shelved for the entire series after that. So, yeah. So there's not a ton to talk about spoiler-wise, but if you've seen something, if you noticed anything that I didn't, please do let me know. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching the video, for following all the way through to the end here. I was hoping to make this a little bit of a shorter one since I know that there weren't as many connections to draw, but hey, what do you know? I always have things to say about Bleach. If you have anything to say about it, please let me know in the comments. As always, if you are talking about something that's a spoiler, tag it as such. Make sure that you write that at the beginning of your comment. But otherwise, please do give the video a like, subscribe to it, share it with your friends, and if you'd like to, feel free to support me on Patreon. Right now on screen, you can see everybody that is supporting me as of making this video, and I want to give them all a huge shout out because it does help me out. Thank you so much. So yeah, that's all I had to say for this one, folks. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being in the Bleach in this year. And as always, spirits are forever with you. Stay gold.